Hello there, fellow Scorpios. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot forecast for the month of November. I am breaking this month down into 4 sections. The first 3 sections are going to be 1 week apiece. It just happened to work out really nicely like that on the calendar. And then the 4th section is going to be a 9-day section. So we're going to start with November the 1st through the 7th and see what kind of energies come up for us during this particular time frame. Let's see what we got. Happy birthday to those of you who have a November birthday. I do. Mine's going to be the 18th, so we're not quite there yet, though. We're just looking at the 1st through the 7th right now. I know you all want to know how old I'm going to be, don't you? Can you guess? I'll tell you all what, if you guess my age right in the comments, and then, I guess, put a guess on my age in the comments. Can you tell I'm coming up with this off the top of my head right now? See if you can guess my age in the comments. How am I going to know how to contact you? How will I connect with you if you guess it right? I guess just send me an email letting me know that you guessed and what your handle is here on YouTube, what name you go by here on YouTube. And then if you guess my age right, what should the prize be? Let's make the prize a 1-question reading or a full reiki session, whichever you prefer. Okay. This isn't anything I've announced on any of the other videos, so you're already winning by hearing the opportunity. Okay. I'll be curious to know how many of you can actually guess my age. That's going to be fun. I hope it's going to be fun. If you guys guess me to be 20 years older than I am, I'm not going to be very happy. Alright, so let's get started, fellow Scorpios. Let's look at our environment for November the 1st through the 7th. Let's take a peek at what we have going on here. Wow. It's looking like we're not very happy with the environment around us during this time frame. We're feeling like we're having a hard time manifesting what we want around us in our environment, and things are just moving really slow. Whatever we're trying to accomplish in the environment is not being accomplished very quickly at all. Okay? So that's what I've got for environment for that first week. Let's look at subconscious leanings. Subconscious leanings. What do we have going on here? So it looks to me like we are taking some kind of action during this time frame to improve our financial situation. And I think that that action that we're taking to improve our financial situation has something to do with communication, words, promotion, in my case, YouTube channel, things like this. So some type of communication is something that we're using as a tool to take action in our financial situation. What's ironic about this is that even though we're taking communication to move forward financially, we're keeping it really quiet. We're keeping that on the down low. This isn't something that we're telling all our friends about or our family members. This is something that we are doing just in our own little professional world. Nobody around us in the personal world is aware. Okay? We're keeping it on the down low. Alright, and that's in our subconscious. Our subconscious is figuring out how to do that. La, da, 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 da. Next thing that we have coming up, Next thing that we have coming up talks to me about learning style and also communication style for us during this time frame. I think that we are seeing a lot of truth. It's coming up straight up in front of us. We're not having to work really hard to find that truth. It is just showing up. In some cases, it may even be surprising in how it shows up. And I think that when this truth shows up, it's going to get rid of something that it won't get rid of the thing we were confused about, but it'll get rid of a lot of confusion that we had around a particular situation or person in our lives. So when this truth comes up, and like I said, I don't think we're working on this, we're not pulling teeth or anything, but when this truth does come up, it's gonna totally dissipate some confusion that we've had around a situation or around a person. And I think when that happens, we're going to be able to start thinking in new directions and start actually making progress in new directions that we haven't been able to before, because this confusion was kind of keeping us from making any kind of stable, solid move forward. So now it looks to me like we have a lot of different opportunities to move forward now that we have this truth, and this allows us to really be productive in a lot of different directions. Okay? With the way this is coming in, we may actually be learning about something that we didn't really understand before, and with that knowledge, we may be able to really move forward in ways that we couldn't because we didn't have that knowledge before. I don't feel like it's anything that anybody's been lying to us about. I just think it's something that we just didn't understand before. All right, so let's look at communication style. There is a lot of truthful communication that's going on, and I think that this is the kind of truthful communication that just flows out of somebody really easily. This is not something that you have to really think about or strategize how you're going to say things. This is just easy flowing communication that is flowing out truthfully. I don't feel like we're worried when we say these things that we're going to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. Okay, I do see also there is some communication that we're putting out there where we're setting some kind of boundaries, and where we're saying, you know, okay, we're comfortable with this, this, and this, but that, something has to change there. And then the last thing that I'm seeing about communication is just that that boundary that we're setting, we may have to actually enforce that. It looks like we're actually enforcing that and kind of guarding that boundary for a little bit. So we may set some kind of boundary that somebody doesn't really like, and so they keep trying to knock it over, and we keep saying, yeah, not going to do that. Repeatedly, probably repeatedly a lot. Okay, so that's learning and communication during this time frame. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about work. Blah, da, 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 da. We're definitely doing something non-traditional, or else we're doing something traditional in a very non-traditional way. I think we are putting a lot of energy and effort into our work here, and we are making some changes, definitely. There are some transformations that we are on top of. We could be incredibly focused on work during this time as well. As far as inner work, I feel like there's somebody who's in our sphere of influence who does have strong narcissistic tendencies, and I feel like during this time frame, they're going to be trying to manipulate us, which is not really big news, but I think we're going to be seeing that manipulation coming from a mile away, and we're going to be putting an end to it. And it may take some effort for us to put an end to it, but I do see that actually happening. That is our inner work, is to no longer allow ourselves to be victimized by somebody who's doing basically emotional manipulation and maybe even bullying. This could be a bully as well showing up here. All right. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about that part of our personality which is growing or expanding right now. Okay. So here's what's going on. I think there's somebody coming at us that is saying, oh, I think you're so wonderful. I just love you, blah, blah, blah. And I think we're not feeling it. We're just not in the mind space to deal with that at this particular moment. And I think that we're not just cutting this person out. I think we're sharing with them this idea that, you know what, I'm flattered, but that's just not where I am right now. That's not what phase of life I'm in, or that's not what I want, or I have a partner, or whatever. And I think that we are shutting that down pretty quickly. And because it's where we're growing and expanding, we may be doing this multiple times. Could be multiple times with the same person, but it could also be multiple times with different people as well. All right, the next thing that we're looking at, Scorpios, is going to be, whoops, excuse me, didn't mean to bump the camera, is going to be something that we stand for during this time frame. So somebody's going to probably have some type of communication with us about this, maybe even a confrontation about this. They hopefully, if they're coming from a good place, they want to understand us more, but they may not be. No guarantees there. But anyway, something that we're standing for is that we have made some real accomplishments, and we have put the time and the energy in to make those accomplishments. We've been really patient with them moving forward, and we have, there's been a lot of appreciation expressed for the things that we do. At the same time that we've been putting this energy and effort into accomplishing whatever this is that other people appreciate so much, there's also been some sacrifice along the way. Okay? So, and I think that we definitely, we are enjoying that appreciation from the other people, but I think that we're also very sincerely feeling that sacrifice that we've made and feeling the heartache that that brings as well. And I think that somebody is saying something to us about, well, aren't you happy? And we're saying, yes, on one hand, I am happy, but on the other hand, I've also got this emotion happening too. And we're explaining, why it's kind of reasonable. How this other person sees us is they see us as being somebody who is detached and kind of looking like as an outsider looking in, like we are. I think they see us as being detached from love or detached from a relationship or from relationships, and they see us as an outsider looking in, like we're looking in at relationships where we see relationships in front of us, but we're still detached from those. We're not willing to, we're not willing to do more than look in the window at those. We don't want to actually come around through the door and into the house and be a part of that. That's how they're seeing us. La da 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 da. All right, so that could very much be talking about the idea that we could be putting all our energy into our work, which we love, maybe some kind of project or hobby that we love, but at the same time, putting in that much work and time doesn't leave a lot of time for personal relationships, and this person may feel like we're intentionally leaving personal relationships out. All right, let's look at our flex point. This is where things start to turn in a little bit of a different direction for us and form up a little bit differently during this time frame. Wow, Scorpios. We are definitely bringing something to a completion here in this flex point, and this has to do with the idea of feeling victimized and sort of letting people make us feel victimized, letting people walk all over us. We're bringing that to an end. We're not making it so easy for somebody to just come in and walk all over us like we always have before. All right. Other thing going on at the same time. Yeah, we have somebody that is coming towards us, making advances, whether this is a friend or a romantic interest, or even if it's a business, somebody that has some type of business interest. This is somebody who, they're excited by the new, they're excited by the adventure, the conquest of something new, but then once the new wears off, they're off looking for the next new and exciting. And so I think we've got somebody like this coming towards us, and we're saying, no, I don't need that kind of energy in my life. I don't need that. And actually, by cutting this person off, this is relieving us from a lot of stress. I think if we had been considering letting them approach us and come into our sphere of influence on a major type of basis, I think that was really stressing us out, just even making this decision. And I think that whatever we did allow showed us the truth about what we really wanted. And so that's why cutting this person, cutting this energy really out and saying, I don't need that here today, gone tomorrow energy in my life. I need you to go away. I think that has actually helped us on our stress level a lot. Okay? Let's see. What else is going on at the same time? Definitely there's some truth coming out here. I think that we are missing somebody, and it may be this person that we've just cut out. We are missing them, but at the same time, what we also have here is an indicator that in time we'll be just fine. Give us a little bit of time and we're going to bounce back, because I think this truth that comes out, I think it kind of cuts, but I also know that we have the self-confidence, we have the self-reliance, and we also know that in the long run, where we could be miserable missing this person right now, in the long run, I think we're pretty confident here that staying with the person would have made us just as miserable. It would just be a different kind of misery. And so in the long run, we're just allowing ourselves that time to heal and move forward from that. We're tired of being taken advantage of. We're tired of being walked all over. So yeah, we might miss that person. We might miss how we idealize that person, but we don't miss is how they treated us. Okay? Now, looking at where we are at the end of this particular time frame, we are making long-term plans, and we are making sure that we are taking care of ourselves in these long-term plans, and we are planning something that has to do with partnership. We could be planning what type of partnership do we actually want, whether this relates to business or personal, and planning on how to actually manifest something like that. Or it could be that some of us actually are with partners, not this person that was making us feel like we were being walked on all the time, but some of us could be with partners and actually planning some type of future that way. And that, once again, that could be a business partnership too. Business seems to be a heavy focus for us during this week, actually. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if we weren't planning on how to partner with somebody in business and make that create something that is beneficial for us financially and help us really to take care of ourselves, not to depend on somebody else. Okay? All right, so that's what I've got for us for the first week, my fellow Scorpios. Let me go ahead and shut this down here for a minute, take a break, and come back, and we'll look at week number 2. See you soon. Welcome back again, fellow Scorpios. This time we are looking at November the 8th through the 14th. Let's take a peek at what's coming in during this time frame for y'all. 8th through the 14th of November for Scorpios. Scorpios. Okay, Scorpios, fellow Scorpios, we are starting with environment once again during this time frame from the 8th to the 14th. It looks like things are definitely turning around as far as environment goes. We have things that are working more smoothly now in the environment. It looks like there was something that was kind of on the back burner or maybe even out of commission that now is working just fine. Things are loosening up in the environment. So if we were feeling left out during this last time frame, now we're not feeling left out anymore. We are feeling more included. And also finances are loosening up in the environment as well. Next thing that we have coming up talks to me about our subconscious leanings during this time frame. Travel. And this is travel or moving, actually. This could definitely be talking about moving, and we could be really manifesting, working on manifesting, moving forward, moving in a very positive direction, maybe even literally moving. And this is what's going on in our subconscious mind, is how are we going to pull this off? How are we going to put all this together? How are we going to make this move happen? So that's what we're looking at. We may even be finding information, and as we find information really on our subconscious, working on, okay, how can I use that to make this move happen? To make this change come about. Next thing that we have coming up talks to me about our learning style and also our communication style during this particular time frame. I do think that we have a lot of information that we've had for a while that now we are building on. We're getting some fresh information and building on that old information, and to the point that it kind of feels new with this new added to it. So we've got a deeper understanding of something, and it feels really exciting to me too to have this deeper understanding of that, of whatever is that old information. Excuse me. I do feel like there's something else that we are studying, learning about, somehow information is coming in, and I think we're just going over that information, just making sure that that's solid in our minds. And then we also do have some new information that we're finding out, and this has to do with making ourselves valuable to the world, or making ourselves valuable in the workplace. And so we're finding out new information about how to do that as well. So as far as communication style during this particular time frame, I do think that we're having a lot of productive communications with other people. We may be having communications where we're planning about things that are coming up in the future. We may have communications where we're letting people know about things that are coming up in the future, and we may even be in a position where we're letting people know about something that's coming up in the future, and that plan has not changed. That plan is still intact. Yeah, I really don't feel like there's a lot of holding back on communication. There is a lot of relaxed communication going on here, where it's just a good give and take, a good flow of communication with some people in our sphere of influence during this time frame. La da da da. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about work. So we're going to look at outer work first. That's how we make our living. Then we'll look at inner work, which has to do with those things that we do to improve our own character, to make us happier with who we are. So we may be taking a break from work here, and it may be that we're taking a break from work because we've hit a little bit of burnout. And so as we're taking this break, I think there could be some things falling through the cracks, but I also think that we don't really care. We've hit that burnout point where, okay, it's okay if this falls through the cracks or whatever, because I'm going to have to pick things up later, but for right now, I just need some downtime. Okay? Now, as far as inner work really is all about finding balance and maybe even some healing. There could be something going on that's causing us to not feel well physically, and so the inner work may be all about finding that way of searching out our healing for that particular situation. All right, let's look next. Let's look next. We could actually be missing work because we need to do some healing as well too. I mean, I think for a lot of us there is burnout as a factor, but I think healing is also a factor for quite a few of us. All right, next thing we're looking at is that part of our personality which is growing or expanding right now. The first thing that jumps out at me is our self-confidence is definitely coming up here. And I think what's been going on is we've been kind of going back and forth about some kind of situation that we've kind of moved away from because we felt like it was having a negative influence, but we keep going back to it too. So there's been some confusion there. And I think what's happening is we are cutting through that confusion and we're just making a decision. And as we make that decision, I think we're very confident about that decision. We're not about to let confusion rule our lives. La da 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 da. Next thing that I have coming up here talks to me about those things that we stand for. So this will be something somebody's probably had a conversation with us about, maybe even a little bit of a confrontation about some way. And we've had to defend our position here. Yeah, so it does look to me like we have manifested some type of healing situation. And we had, now that we've manifested that healing for ourselves, that leaves us a lot of options open about what's the next thing that we want to focus on or the next thing that we want to do. And I think there's somebody that is coming at us wanting to know, well, you know, why are you looking at all these options? Don't you have a straight-on focus? And really being kind of critical about the idea that our focus isn't very tight right now, that we're looking at all the options, you know. For us, for Scorpios, we generally are very focused, but it looks to me here like we're just taking the time to figure out what's the best thing to focus on. Anyway, somebody's confronting us about that and how they're feeling after they've talked to us about this. I think this person cares about us greatly. They may even be in love with us, but they are walking away. However, this is odd. They are walking away from us. And I feel like this has a lot to do with the idea that they just don't understand where we're coming from. And when they're walking away from us, what I can see also is that this is not over. This person is definitely coming back. And they may be coming back around pretty quickly, too, just to have all that show up in 3 cards like that. So they're walking away, but I think this is very much a temporary walk away, and I think it's because they're not understanding where we're coming from or who we are. At the same time, they do have feelings for us. So I think they're, comes across to me that they're a little bit confused about what they should be doing and the best way to handle any kind of situation with us. Wow, we weren't even trying to confuse them. We were just trying to heal and figure out what's next. All right. Okay, Scorpios. Fellow Scorpios, what's going on during our flex point? This is the time where things start to change direction for us and form up a little bit differently. What we have showing up here is a little bit interesting. There is a dynamic that we have with somebody else where there is chemistry between us and that other person. And this is somebody from our past that actually shows back up. But even though there's chemistry between us, I don't think we're necessarily happy to see them. And they do show back up with some kind of message for us. Let's see what else is going on at the same time. That could be a confusing situation, couldn't it? I think that we may be very excited that this person is coming back. Remember, we have lots of chemistry, so there's this there's this two sides of the coin factor going on here. Like, we're not really happy to see them back, but at the same time, we're excited to see them back. There's some confusion factor definitely going on here. I think we are taking some time away from working, or we're spending money on them that we shouldn't. We're basically blowing the budget. And for me, whenever we blow the budget, there's two ways to do that. There's either not putting in the energy and effort to have that cash flow coming in, or else they're spending more than what is in the budget. So one way or the other, we're blowing the budget with trying to find some healing in this situation. So this may be a thing where we decide that it's important to take time away from work, or to spend some money on a situation just to get some closure. A lot of times healing from a situation can be, and this is an emotional healing. This can be about getting closure. What else is going on at the same time? It looks like we are taking on the responsibility of passing along some good advice, I think, to this person that comes back. And I think basically we're telling them that they need to take care of themselves. We're able to see from the outside looking in where they've been kind of letting that slide and they haven't been looking out for themselves. And I think we're giving them some advice about how they can refocus and take care of themselves moving forward. This is somebody that we obviously care about. I kind of feel like maybe this is somebody that we obviously care about, but we don't necessarily see a future together with this person, like as a couple per se. But I think that we still do care about them, and we still want whatever is best for them, whatever will make them happy. We're definitely not in the mindset of, if you're not mine, then don't be happy. That's not at all where we are. I don't feel like we're jealous of anything. I just feel like whatever happened in the past, and yeah, and now we're in this position. I mean, these are strongly saying to me that we still care about this person. We just don't. I think we're not happy to see them back because we're expecting them to want to get back together as a couple, and we're just not in that place. Other than that, I think we're happy to see them back. We're happy to have them as a part of our lives, just not that part. Okay, so anyway, Scorpios, where do I see you at the end of this time frame, or where do I see us? Scorpios, I do think that we have had to have a conversation with somebody who did want exactly what we were afraid of. They did want to try to get together. And we had to basically say, I just don't think that this is a good idea. And so it's really interesting how this plays out here, though, because we're telling this person that. I think that this is, they're not taking it well. I really think that they're not taking it well. But at the same time that they're not taking this well, I think we are feeling, we don't have any doubt that we've made the right decision and that we're in the right place with saying that. We know that we are doing the right thing and that we're in the right space, whether it's head space or whether it's geographic space. I think we're happy with that. And this could have something to do with that move I saw in the subconscious too. It may be that, we're telling this person, I can't take you away from where you are right now to move to this place that I want to move to. But we feel like we're definitely in a happy home. I think that we are releasing them. We are releasing them so that we can have our happy home. To be honest with you, that's what I get from them. That's what I get from that. Okay? So that is November the 8th through the 14th. Fellow Scorpios, thank you so much for being here. Let me take a little break. I'll come back and we'll hit week 3. Hello there, fellow Scorpios. Welcome back. What we're going to look at next is the time frame from November 15th through the 21st. 15th through the 21st of November for me and my fellow Scorpios. Woot woot. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Alrighty, let's start with our environment again, Scorpios. Environment is any place where we have energy or effort invested. I don't know why, for a second I just could not think of that word at all. Alrighty, so looking at our environment, So I'm going to say that if this is our work environment, I don't think it's working out very well. I don't see the payoff coming in for any work. We may not be working. It looks like we may be missing somebody right now. But I don't, okay, so if the environment is home, this could be that we're not doing anything to upgrade the home, we're not doing anything to work on the home, we're not doing anything to maintain the home, you know, we're not raking the leaves, we're not cleaning, you know. If this is work, this is we're not going into work, we're not doing work. So depending what the environment is, I've had usually people tell me it is home, but I have had people tell me that's work or that's school. I've had an instance where environment was just really all about the person's aura, their inner space, their environment. So this, you know, you want to be kind of open about where this is, but I don't see a lot of work happening here. I don't see stuff coming in because work isn't happening here. And it looks to me like the reason that we may not be working may be because we're missing somebody and we're wishing that that person was here. Okay? Looking at our subconscious leanings during this time frame. Okay, so it looks like we're waiting for something, and what we're waiting for is we're waiting for our friends. We're waiting for some of our friends to be able to basically to be able to afford to do something. And so we are kind of on hold because people in our support network or people in our friend network or people in our tribe or family are not able to move forward with something financially. And so we are waiting for that situation to clear up on their end, okay? And that is what's on our subconscious mind. I think we're really working around, how long are we going to wait? Should we help them with the finances of it? You know, those types of things. So subconscious is really working on that situation. All right, next thing that we're looking at here, fellow Scorpios, has to do with learning style and also communication style during this particular time frame. We've got a lot focused on money, 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 money. We had a lot focused on money when I was looking at the environment. We had focus on somebody else's money and your subconscious. Now we've got money coming up in learning and communication. We've got basically two cards that say that we are really focused on learning about money, learning about making money, learning about ways to produce income for ourselves. And the last card that we have basically says that this is an obsession with us right now. This is our main focus. All right. When I look at communication style, what's going on here? It does look to me like we are communicating with people about the idea of either working for money or finding grants or Something along those lines, but bringing money into our situation. And then I've got a second card, once again, saying we are talking about money. We're talking about making money, creating money. You know, we may be learning about investing and talking with other people about investing. And once again, this is communication that we really can't get away from. Maybe we are talking to a loan officer. I would say that's definitely indicated, is that we're talking to somebody about getting a loan here. And it looks to me like whatever is going on with money during this time frame, we are incredibly focused on it. We may have our backs a little bit against a wall about what we're going to do about some kind of situation that's requiring money right now, because we are definitely just obsessing about making this happen. Okay? All right. Next thing that we're going to look at talks to me about work. So what is going on with work? We saw something with the environment that might be work. What's happening with work? Okay. So it looks like work may be, we may be manifesting kind of exactly the opposite of what we want, especially towards the beginning of this time frame. We may be worried and focusing on those worries, or afraid of something and focusing on those fears. And so we're actually manifesting those in when we're looking at the beginning of this time frame. I do think as we are dealing with this situation, though, we are focusing on something that we have begun in the past, or begun in the past. I'm not sure what the correct word would be. I think begun. Something that we have begun in the past. We began that as a leap of faith and not really knowing where it would take us. And this does have to do with work now. So maybe it started off as a hobby. Maybe it just started off as an interest. Well, now I see us moving forward with this as a means of bringing in income, as a means of work. And it looks like whenever we're looking at that, we have some kind of wonderful opportunity coming in more towards the end of this week, an opportunity coming in to really explore and expand this. So yeah, we've got a roller coaster happening with work. We're starting off in a dip and we're coming up into something really good by the time the week rolls around. Okay, so let's look at inner work. Inner work is really going to be all about manifesting and keeping our heads on straight and focusing on positive and focusing on what we actually want. I think we're going to have this realization when this thing happens that is exactly the opposite of what we want, that, oh my gosh, I have been focusing on that, and now what do I do to change that? And we're going to be really focusing on turning that around. And it looks like we're doing that successfully with this wonderful new opportunity that's coming in at the end of the week. So inner work is really all about focusing on manifestation, getting our head back on straight again. Okay. All right, next thing that we're looking at talks to me about that part of our personality that's growing or expanding as we go through this time frame. All right, so here's the thing. We are focusing on taking care of ourselves, and I think that this has a lot to do with physical. Not sure if Mars is out of retrograde by now, but I think Mars being in retrograde for us has a lot to do with taking care of our bodies and upgrading our bodies, that type of thing. Finding some healing and improving lifestyle as far as physically. Okay, so I do see us taking care of our bodies, working on that. I also see us being very thoughtful, analyzing things as we go through this time frame. And it looks like we may even be taking a little bit of a rash action as we're going through here. So we're trying to be protective of our bodies. We're trying to think things through. It looks to me like we may be overdoing something. So we may be finding out, okay, this thing is really, really healthy for me. Maybe taking vitamin C. Let's really focus on that to boost the immune system. And then maybe we're taking like too much vitamin C and giving ourselves problems. And if you think that's not a thing, I actually have done that. So, and that's just an example. I don't think that's going to hold true for all of us. Obviously, I'm not going to make that mistake again. So like I said, it's just an example, but it looks to me like there is something to do with taking care of our bodies. We're going to think through and analyze the information that we have, and we're going to decide if a little is good, more is better, and we may end up overdoing it. So the beautiful thing, like I always try to tell you guys, is getting these readings ahead of time. If you notice that energy coming in, you kind of want to head it off at the pass, okay? So if you catch yourself, looking at health issues and thinking if a little bit is good, more is better, that should be the red flag after you've seen this video to go, oh, wait a second, this is where I go overboard. Let's try to avoid going overboard here, and let's just back it up to something that's more moderate. All right, so what else do we have, Scorpios? Next thing we need to look at is those things that we stand for during this time frame. This is going to be about something that somebody talks to us about, maybe even confronts us about, kind of depending what the situation is. But we get into a place where we feel like we have to explain ourselves a little bit, okay? So, I think we've had some boundaries up, and we've been enforcing those boundaries. And so as we've been enforcing those boundaries, we've had to be, we've had to sort of shut down our emotions in that area, just basically, I think, kind of for self-preservation, because I know as Scorpios, we have a hard time doing that. And I'm not just a Scorpio sun sign, like I have a stellium in Scorpio. So we can be really emotional, and when we set up boundaries, it can be really hard for us to maintain those boundaries. But I think that we are sort of hardening our hearts here to maintain those boundaries, and it feels to me like this is a matter of self-preservation for us to actually have to do that. At the same time, it's causing a lot of stress on us that we've set these boundaries and that somebody just basically is refusing to respect those, okay? And so somebody is saying something to us about this. Maybe it's even the person who's refusing to respect those boundaries. They're saying something to us about this, and we are having to, explain why we're doing what we're doing. Now, how this other person sees us, they see us as the Ice Queen. They really see us as the Ice Queen, and they see us as being focused on finances and money and income, and being focused on collaborating in situations that can help us move forward in that. So that kind of tells us, if this is how the person is seeing us, that what we're doing is we're setting boundaries with people who are draining our income, who should be responsible enough to pay for things that they're expecting us to pay for. Okay? So to me, I would expect that we're setting some pretty reasonable boundaries here. They're basically financial boundaries. And, we already saw that we're feeling like we're under a lot of pressure financially. We can't carry somebody else right now if we're under that kind of pressure. But this other person is not understanding that. So even though we're setting these boundaries and this has us all stressed out to enforce them, this other person isn't understanding the situation that we're in. They're expecting us to just keep giving, keep giving, keep giving. And meanwhile, we are looking for situations that are more reciprocal, where we can help other people and they can also help us as well. And so they are seeing us as the Ice Queen because we're not, extending that open hand with whatever they want like we normally do, or like we have done in the past. Okay? So that's what I see there. Telling you, we have finances as a major focus during this particular time frame. Huge. Okay, next thing that I'm looking at is the flex point during this week. This is where things start to change direction for us and form up a little bit differently than they have so far. I do see that we have a great new idea about something that we would like to move forward with, and actually probably more than one thing. We probably have a few things that we're moving forward with here, and these are things that were kind of stuck or stagnant. We weren't able to bring them forward, not because of anything that we chose, but because of things that were not in our control. Well, those things have been released now. These things have been released to move forward. And so I think we're going to start moving forward on some of these inspired ideas. So I'm really, really liking the looks of that, especially if it has to do with our money here, because that would be finding a solution. Look here. All right, so it looks like there's somebody who has been sort of competing with us, or maybe I don't know that competing is exactly the word I'm looking for here for what I'm feeling. How would I say this? Help me find the words, Lord. There's somebody who has been giving us flack about these things that we want to do, or these things that we want to accomplish, these goals that we have. And so I think that this has to do with these inspired ideas that we're feeling like we're released, we can move forward on. I think we are backing our energy away from that person who's been giving us flack. We're sort of doing these things that they're trying to give us a hard time about on the down low. Like, we're not sharing with them that, oh yeah, you think that idea that I have that's so terrible? I'm over here working on it, okay? We're not saying that. We're just quietly working away on our goal, working away on our idea, and we're making some good forward progress with it. We're just not telling this other person because we don't really want to focus on trying to combat that energy or trying to prove to that person that this is a valid idea or a valid goal. We don't want to spend our energy there. So we're just quietly over here working on our goals. Not saying anything to this person who doesn't like what we're doing, really. Doesn't think that it's a valid goal. Thinks maybe we're biting off more than we can chew, I think. So what else is going on at this time? Yeah, we are not fighting. We are not fighting. We are accepting somebody for the way that they are. So basically, we have a negative Nelly or a negative Ned in our experience, and we are just accepting that, okay, they just have this negative standpoint, and that's just the way it is. And I don't have to fight with them. I don't have to get them to look at anything in a positive way. I don't have to get them to visualize about the things that they would like to have in their life. That is not my responsibility to them. And really, it comes across as, people who want to be helped can be helped. And people who don't want to be helped, it doesn't matter what you do, they're not going to be helped. And this kind of comes across to me as this person definitely does not want to be helped. I can't say definitely enough here. And I think that we're realizing that, and we're coming to that acceptance of that, and we're making plans for, okay, well, how am I going to deal with interacting with this person whenever I come across them with their negative attitude? So we're making plans on how to not let somebody else's negative attitude impact our attitudes and impact our actions and impact our own future. Okay? So we're taking some definitive action when it comes to responding to that, not reacting to that. All right, next thing that we have going on. This is going to be where we end up at the end of this time frame, or at the end of this week. What is happening with us Scorpios? We were doing so well half a minute ago. there is some kind of news that comes into us that basically says that what you're working on, even though you're inspired and you're excited about it, we don't want you to go forward with it. We don't think you should do this. I'm not so sure this person has any authority to say that, but they do impact us with their energy. And they get us into a situation where whatever it is that there's some part, I think there's some part that they play in whatever this is that we're doing. And I think we were kind of counting on them to play their part. I also feel like it was a little part. Like, I don't see them doing the major part of the work here, but I do see them doing something that maybe we're not able to, or maybe we just don't have time to. And so this person is saying, you know what, no, I'm not going to do that. And so it's sort of shutting things down for us. Now we're in a situation where we have to figure out, okay, how are we going to compensate for that? Do we get somebody else in that can do that, that can help us? Do we figure out how to do this for ourselves? And so we come into this place where we have this problem that we haven't found the solution to quite yet. And part of the reason we haven't found the solution to this quite yet, fellow Scorpios, and I'm one of us, so please don't think I'm being critical, is that we're in pity party mode. We're in this mode of, oh, woe is me, this person isn't going to do whatever they committed to or whatever. And we're not looking at the other opportunities that are around us. And this card, when it comes up, tells me there are other opportunities, but we're so busy being down in the dumps that we can't lift our eyes to see those other opportunities. So obviously, what do we want to do now that we've seen this reading ahead of time? We want to not go into pity party mode, and we want to look at the other opportunities, because just because this person isn't going to do the part they committed to with us doesn't mean there aren't other people around who might be able to actually do the part they committed to much better than that person. So it's really important to not let this get us down, but just look at the solutions. What are the solutions out there? What are the options? How can I compensate for this? How can I move forward in spite of this little thing happening over here? Okay, that's what we want to do. All right, so that's that time frame. Let me go ahead and wrap this up, and then I'll come back and we'll do the last 9 days of November when I get back. All right, fellow Scorpios, welcome back. This time we are hitting the time frame from November 22nd through the 30th. So let's see what comes up for us here. La da da da, la da da da, la da da da. This is a general reading, by the way. That means not everything I see here is going to apply to every single Scorpio. However, most of it will apply to most of you. If you find that this is not resonating for you, you may want to check your ascendant or your moon sign as well. Sometimes, though, things just don't resonate because they haven't happened yet. That has been known to happen too. So this is for a little bit longer period. This is for a 9-day period instead of a 7-day period. Let's take a peek at what we've got. Okay, first thing we are looking at does have to do with our environment. What's going on here? Okay, there's definitely something going on where there is a lack of communication in the environment, or a major slowdown in communication, one of the two. And it looks like we are back into a position where we're manifesting those things that we don't want to manifest. And there is some kind of judgment that somebody in our environment is making towards us. So this could be a family member, this could be a work colleague, our environment is that we're looking at here. But I think what's going on is that somebody in our environment is actually making a decision that is not really being based on anything fair. It's basically a corrupt decision, and that is causing a breakdown of communication between us and that other person, and possibly between us and somebody else or a group of other people as well in the environment. The next thing that I want to take a peek at is our subconscious leanings. Okay, so in our subconscious, we are looking at healing. What brings in healing? What brings in making things whole? And we are very hopeful. And I see also that our self-confidence and our self-esteem is actually coming up. And we are working on how to manifest those things that we want to manifest. So our subconscious is really working on turning the whole situation around, where we're manifesting the opposite of what we want. Our subconscious is working on turning that around. Of course, we saw that at the very end of the last time frame, where that's what we needed to focus on. And the energy, it was showing that we weren't just yet. This is showing me that we're getting to that point now where we're really focusing on the things that we want to manifest and doing it in a way that's actually going to produce the kind of results that we want. Now that's what's going on in our subconscious mind. That's a good place for it to start, because it'll grow from there. I'm happy to see that. Next thing that we're looking at is learning style and also communication style during this particular time frame. There is a lot going on around us, and I think that we're learning a lot from the activities that are happening around us. I feel like there's a lot of motion, a lot of energy. There's a lot of, and not just from one person. I feel like there's a lot of things happening with a lot of people in our sphere of influence. Excuse me, just need to wet my whistle. So there's a lot of things going on with a lot of different people, and I think that as we're observing all of this, and as maybe we're even being asked to sort of help different people to come through these times of transition that they're going through, I think we're learning also a lot about ourselves by watching other people go through similar, through their situations, let's say that, okay? So it's a very active type of learning that's going on there. I feel like also as we're going through this time frame, Scorpio, as far as love life or personal life, I feel like there's sort of a void there as far as learning new things. I think that we may even be stagnating a little bit in that place. We're sort of putting that, at least any type of learning for that, sort of on the back burner. That's just not the most important thing to us to be finding out about or digging into during this time frame. The other thing I do feel like we're learning about, though, has to do with emotions, and it also has to do with manifesting, and maybe even manifesting in ways that might surprise other people, that may not actually maybe manifesting in ways that are more metaphysical rather than scientific type of things. We're learning about those types of things during this time frame. Communication. There is definitely some kind of official communication going on here. I'm not sure if this has to do with government. If this was during the week of November 3rd, I would say that this could voting, but it's not. This is later on in the month. So there is some kind of communication going on here. I do think that it has to do with something very formal. It could be government. It could be something to do with business. This could even be printing invitations. This really comes across to me as something that has a letterhead, or as something that is embossed, and it's coming across to me as, you know, very formal and on paper. I think it's on paper. You may be distributing some type of certificate to somebody, or you may be receiving a certificate for something that you've participated in as well. Lots of different ways that that can manifest, but I think the most general way that I can say it is some kind of written communication that is either on letterhead or has some kind of embossing on it. And you could be sending this communication out or receiving this communication. I think it's going to play out differently for different ones of you. Also, what I see here as far as communication is that your communication during this time frame is not wishy-washy, is not sending out mixed signals, is not confused in any way. I think that whatever it is that you're saying or whatever messages you're sending out, you're sort of holding your ground on those. Like nobody is pushing you to change whatever it is you're talking about or your views on whatever it is you're talking about. You're standing pretty solid with those. And I think you're pretty happy to do that as well. What else do we see as far as communication? I do think that there is at least one person in your sphere of influence, but I really feel like there's probably more, but there's at least one. And for most of you, there's more who you're being very supportive of with your communication. So you may be encouraging or supporting them. You may notice that they're going through a hard time and that their self-esteem is taking a hit. So you're saying things to help them to see themselves in a better light, or there's all kinds of ways that can play out. But being very supportive or encouraging in communication with at least one person in your sphere of influence during the time frame from the 22nd to the 30th. Okay, so there's communication style and learning style. Next, we're going to look at work. Workity work, work. Okay, so I think that you're finding a lot of satisfaction in work during this time frame. Looks like you have found a way somebody has given you some kind of message that allows you to move ahead on a project that you're feeling very inspired with. And I don't think you're wasting any time moving ahead, taking action on that project and moving forward with it. And it is bringing you, like I said, a lot of satisfaction and a lot of happiness to be able to go ahead and do this and move forward and do this. Good job with that manifesting that was going on in the subconscious. We like that. All right. Next thing that we're looking at, fellow Scorpios, is that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. Now this is telling me that there is something that you are detaching from. To me, this looks like it's probably some type of relationship, and it's going to be a relationship that is more close to you. So this could be a romantic interest, this could be a family member, this could be a part of your tribe or your network. And it looks to me like you're detaching from this. You may even literally be traveling, and you have decided that during this time that you're detached, you're not putting any energy or effort towards whatever this is that you're detaching from. I do think that there's still communication going back and forth between you and this other person, or you and the people around this situation, but I think that it is very detached, thoughtful communication. I don't see a whole lot of emotions being allowed to come in here. Okay, that's where you're growing or expanding right now. Next thing that we're looking at has to do with something that we're standing for right now, fellow Scorpios. So when I say that, this is something that somebody has decided that they should have a conversation with us about. They may be confronting us about this, but they're definitely wanting to hear our explanation. Well, if we're lucky, they're wanting to hear our explanation. Sometimes it may be more confrontational than that, but we do end up explaining ourselves or defending ourselves or standing up for whatever this idea is. So what we actually have showing up here that we're standing up for or defending is this idea that things were falling through the cracks for us, maybe even financially. Maybe we were falling out of the black and into the red, or it may have just been time-wise and organization-wise. We just weren't able to do everything that we had committed to do. And that made us feel like, we didn't have enough, whether we didn't have enough money or we didn't have enough time. Maybe it was both of those for some of us. And so we decided that it was time to do something different. It was time to do something that was going to make us happy and sort of solve these issues or solve these problems. So this is something that we're standing up for or defending, that we've taken some action to bring to bring a solution to this situation. Now, after the other person has heard our explanation or our defense, how they're seeing us, is they're seeing us as somebody who is angry or aggravated. Maybe aggravated is more accurate for most of our situations, but they're seeing us as angry or aggravated because we felt like we were giving a lot to the world and that we weren't really getting that much back in return, that it wasn't an equal give and take. And so that's how they're seeing us. They're seeing us as angry or aggravated about a situation like that. And it's interesting to me because it looks to me like we're defending the idea that we've done something to bring a solution to that situation. When I look at the cards of what the other person thinks, they're not seeing that we've got to that solution. Isn't that interesting? We know we have. It seems like we've really got a negative Nelly or a negative Ned, maybe more than one this month that we're interacting with, that they're kind of, I don't want to say they're trying to make us accountable, but they're like trying to put in our face that we're not doing as well as we think we're doing. And from the cards that I'm seeing, I think they're wrong. They're just flat out wrong. And yet we're interacting with this person like on a regular basis. All right. Let's look next at where things start to go in a little bit of a different direction or form up in a different way during this time frame for us fellow Scorpios. What is happening here? Okay, so it looks like we've got something going on that has sort of taken priority over us taking care of us. We've sort of put something else in the box other than us. And I think that that has us feeling really unmotivated for life in general, for doing other things. And it looks to me like because we've gotten into that situation, now we're calling it a timeout. Now we're saying, you know what, never mind, I don't want to do that. I don't want to prioritize that other thing because it's unhealthy, because I'm not able to focus on me if I'm prioritizing that other thing. So we're calling an end to that pretty quickly, I feel like. Yeah. Okay, so at the same time, what we have coming up is this is actually something that making this decision is something that really prevents a tower moment. It helps us to recover from what we've allowed to happen to ourselves so far, where we've basically lost a part of our personality because we've been prioritizing somebody else or something else over ourselves. And so now we're rebuilding that foundation and we're recovering by taking a break from prioritizing that other person. And I think that we are very clear on this to the other person. I think we're letting them know that this is what we're doing because we have to prioritize ourselves. And so I think that we're being very open and honest with that person and letting them know that, you know, I've kind of lost myself in looking out for you, so now it's time for me to look out for me and take a break from this situation. Also at the same time, yes, okay, we're looking at our legacy. We're looking at how we're impacting the people in our sphere of influence and how that impact is going to influence them over the long haul. And we're realizing that we're not impacting them in the way that we want to. And we're making adjustments to that. We are making adjustments to that. And it looks like what we're doing is we have some negative thought patterns or bad self-talk that we've been giving ourselves. And so we're releasing ourselves from that, and we are replacing that with more positive, more healthy thought patterns, ways of thinking about things, and I think that we are actually looking to other people to help us with that, looking to mentors or looking to therapists, or maybe even looking to good friends who are just really good at being able to help us with things like this, to help us release from those negative thought patterns that have been holding us back instead of pushing us forward. So this to me really ties in with this whole idea of putting somebody else as a priority above ourselves. This other person may be helping us to change some of those thought patterns that have us doing that. I don't feel like this other person is taking advantage of us intentionally. I do feel like we are just giving because we feel like we need to give. And so it is a matter of basically we're getting some help in sort of resetting our thinking and realizing that we don't have to give that much. We don't have to buy somebody's love, basically. We don't have to buy somebody's attention. We don't have to buy whatever it is we're trying to buy by doing for somebody else and losing ourselves. And so I think that this person's influence in helping us to see this with a different perspective is going to be really key. Otherwise, it really wouldn't have shown up in the spread, to tell you the truth. So I do think that's going to be key in turning loose of some old negative thought patterns that were leading us down a road we really didn't want to go. So where are we at the end of this month? Okay, so we have found some kind of partnership here. And, this can be any kind of partnership, Scorpios. This can be a love relationship. This can be a business partnership, a friendship. This can be a partnership with somebody in the family to get something accomplished. I do see that I feel like this is a partnership that you've been sort of waiting for and expecting. And I think you've been kind of impatient to get this off the ground. So whatever it is that you're working on with this other person, whether it's a relationship or a project, I think you've been sort of chomping at the bit, or we've been sort of chomping at the bit here. And I think that once it actually starts, once we actually get into this situation where we're working with this other person, whichever area it is in our lives, then I think things are going really well for us as we move forward with that. So that's where we see ourselves at the end of this particular month. And then, of course, if you guys want some more specific information that isn't geared for all of the Scorpios that are watching here, or at least most of them, obviously you want to get a private reading where I can look at just your energy only instead of everybody's. And I love to do private readings. I have 1-question or 2-question readings, or I have live readings that happen either on Skype if you would like to have a video call, or they can happen on the regular phone, either way. And then, of course, also I do have the Reiki sessions if you could use some Reiki. So I would love to do some private readings for you and really hone in on some of these things that came out in this reading today. So anyway, let me just wrap this up. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your thumbs ups on this video, and thank you for sharing. Both of those actually help move the video the logarithm to be served to more people, and the more people I help, the happier I am. So thank you very much for that support. Also, thank you to those of you who are buying private readings and private Reiki sessions. It is because of all of you guys' support at every single level that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all of you. And I'll see some of you here for a private session in between now and then, but if I don't, then I will see you guys back on the next video. Peace out.